rising up, right? And the third option which can come up, that after due consideration and frustration, a very calibrated thought is taken up to actually go for war. And now for all these segments, we have to actually draw our system that what is an ultimate objective, right? And based on that objective and the mission, is a course which will be taken out. Now this will become a debate, a prolonged debate, but I just want to lay out that these are three options how to pan out. Will it stop at 12th? Will it stop tonight? Will it stop tomorrow? But yes, there is possibility of this act again. Right now, nothing much has happened. I'm more worried, for last 6 days, 7 days, I have been extremely worried about any terror attack which takes place, because when this entire thing is panning out, one element from ISI or Asim Manui says कि ये तो लग रहा है कि मेरे हाथ से लग जाएगा, अभी मुश्किल हो गया है. Now you come out and do another one, right? And that instigates the entire nation. That is exactly what he wanted in the start, right? And we go back to the drawing board after the terror attack, because this will be a paradigm shift when everybody accepted, okay, we have gone for this thing, we have hit the camps and all, we have neutralized a major thing, we have punished, and the top rung leadership and the recruits or whatever, where they have gone and dusted for some point of time, but then there are elements existing, right? And this tool gets applied, that will be a major shift. And trust me, I really find myself to be in a very good place that I have retired. I'm not part of that decision-making body. It is going to be very difficult as a politician, as a government, and even as a military force to take a line this way or that way. So while nuclear bluff has been called out as told by the air chief, but has the war bluff been called out, right? Yeah. So this is a question which we have to keep on troubling ourselves with. But yes, somewhere in the back room we have to work on a date when this machine which has been prepared is going to be applied for punishment. And the last point which you can take as a tool for further discussion: who is actually behind this? Is it actually Asim Mani? Is it something else which is troubling us, which is compelling the system to go on the way it is want? Who wants to actually draw us into the war? These are questions which have to be thought of.
Who question is beyond Asim Munir and if his own machinations. There is only one entity that is sitting on our eastern borders. So there could be possibility there very actively, and the China factor comes into play at multiple levels. The Chinese will also be watching our own military capabilities, how we have amped up, how prepared are we, what is there.
And frankly, I don't give it too far to even their deep state connections as well. I may love to bait China, but the pragmatic long-term strategic considerations will always point fingers somewhere. People who consider ourselves to be friends or showcase our to be friends, but maybe the leadership is. But after all, the leadership doesn't control everything. Like there's a deep state in Pakistan, there's a greater deep state somewhere else.
Yeah, fair point. Sushant Sareen, your thoughts? Zorawar Daulat Singh also with us. Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on the broadcast. Just getting us two more updates. Ambala is on a blackout. There are drones spotted there. Ganderbal in Jammu and Kashmir near Srinagar has also sighted drones above, and the ADSs are at work trying to neutralize them. Yes, Sushant Sareen, the China factor, who's actually behind this? As General Pandey is taking the discussion and the conversation forward, Bharat needs to identify who's behind this, who's orchestrating this. One, within the Pakistani military, its deep state, and also beyond the Pakistani shores. Yes. Sushant Sareen, yeah.
Anand, I think it is entirely possible that this is happening from within the Pakistani state establishment. Either there is a kind of a rethink at the institutional level that, look, we haven't gotten anything from the Indian side, and we've had to sue for peace. Let's try our hand at this again. It could just as well. Look, the fact is that if DGMO talks to the Indian DGMO and looks for a ceasefire, and we agree to it, then that ceasefire has to be observed. Then there is no question of, okay, fine, we agree to a ceasefire today, but we'll start observing it on the 12th.
Correct.
They decided upon a time, on a particular date, and that is the time from which the ceasefire should start.
Right.
And if one side is starting to violate the ceasefire, then there is no reason for the other side to observe the ceasefire.
Right.
So quite clearly, this ceasefire is breaking down as we speak. And this is not limited to only line of control. This is all across,
Right.
as yourself reporting. And if that indeed is the case, then I think we have to come to the conclusion that whatever agreement was discussed today is not worth anything.
Right.
And that the Pakistanis have tried to take everybody for a ride and are probably trying, to throw the dice once more to see what they can get out of it.
Right.
And that is what it seems, which means that we are then back on the escalation spiral, which is fair enough. I don't have a problem with that. And let's see how that plays out. If that's the kind of thing the Pakistanis want after the hiding they got last night, they want to play this game all over again, then fine. I don't think there's anybody on the Indian side who's going to flinch from that.
Right.
On whether the Chinese are prompting them to do it, look, I think again, even the statement which we saw from the Chinese today
Right.
was pretty middle of the road, right? They were not taking any side one way or another. Now, one can say that this is deception from the Chinese side, or one could say, well, the Chinese realize that, this is not worth,
Right.
going ahead with. So
Right.
it's better that both sides call it off and we'll appeal to both sides. It
Right.
could just as well be that. The question is, whatever, the Americans tried to play, whatever role they tried to play, how they are going to react to this.
Right.
Are they now going to go ahead and say that, look, let's use whatever leverages we have and start turning the screws on the Pakistanis? Or will they say, okay, fine, as President Trump said earlier, the guys keep fighting with each other, so let them, have yet another bash up. We don't
Right.
know, but if the Americans are genuinely serious in saying that it's important that both sides step back as
See-
what they claim to be, then they need to start pressuring the side which is breaking the ceasefire to expect
Correct.
that India will exercise restraint because there can be a nuclear exchange, third world war, and what have you. Again, you are penalizing the victim.
See, is this also not,
How does
Sushantji?
that work?
No, Sushantji, and to all our guests, Anvit is joining us live from Pokhran. We'll go to that, but we'll come back and pick this up. Is this the whole thing that the Pakistani army or the military establishment has gone rogue? And that the civilian establishment has no control, no clue. Shehbaz Sharif tweets, and within minutes, the ceasefire violations have begun and the drone incursions have begun. So is the military trying to tell the world that, sorry, we don't listen to this civilian establishment and whoever and whatever they have done. So what's the point of Rubio speaking to Asim Munir? But it's the DGMO who picked up the phone and said ceasefire. It's a DGMO who picked up the phone and said, let's hold and requested for stoppage of fire. It was not Shehbaz Sharif. So it's also quite surprising how the military picks up the phone and says, we need stoppage of fire. The Prime Minister comes out and says, thank you very much, America, you have done this for me. And immediately the army decides to say, no,